tattooist, surfer extraordinaire.
Hey Stu, how's it going?
How's it going, man?
Not too bad, thanks, mate.
Yeah. Mate, as soon as you walked in, like you mentioned, I'm thinking, you mentioned about what I said on Instagram about how I was playing the...
Yeah, I noticed you were talking about Smashing Pumpkins.
Smashing Pumpkins, that's the one.
Had a good memory from 20-odd years ago.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Ben's actually... Take it away, man. Like, tell us the story.
I think I was 17 at the time, 16, 17. I was living in London, going to art school over there, and I had a girl on the course who I was pretty good friends with, and she was. I wasn't really into the Smashing Pumpkins at that time. I was into other bands, but she was talking about if I wanted to come and watch them at the MTV studios, and that she was going out with the drummer, and I didn't really believe her at the start, and then a week later we went and watched them, and it was true. It was pretty classic. So I got to meet a few of those crew and watch them play, and that was cool.
So was he like around what year was this? Like, did he have his long hair?
93.
So he would have still had his long hair then.
Yeah, pretty sure. Fuck, it was a long time ago. But
I still had a head of hair back then.
Yeah, same. I had good long hair then. But like I said, I wasn't a band that I really liked at the time, but sort of probably got into them 10 years later. After.
Okay.
Yeah,
right.
But yeah, it just brought back some memories when I read that on your Instagram last night. It was cool.
Like the first song I ever heard of theirs was Cherub Rock, which is the first song on Siamese Dream. We might actually play it in a little while, but I got a mate who's like a full-on heavy metal dude. Oh, heavy metal dude. Like, I mean, it was early 90s. I grew up in the western suburbs of Sydney. So, like, my mate, he was into Akadaka, the Chisels. He had a girlfriend. I don't know if he's into the Angels, but he was just into that, like, sort of heavy kind of pub music type stuff. And he came over to... I was living on Oxford Street, just near Centennial Park, like up in Wallara, and he came to visit, and I'm like, oh, man, you got to check this out. And put it on. He's like, man, what's this? I'm buying this tomorrow. What's this?
It was a pretty catchy tune, wasn't it?
Yeah, and it's just like it's full-on heavy guitar, like...
Yeah.
I don't know, like, there was a lot of heavy guitar bands around in the 70s, like, Paranoid Sabbath and Deep Purple and all that, but I don't know, that full-on guitar sound, they just, to me, the 90s was where they just nailed it. Like,
especially early 90s.
Yeah.
Heaps of guitar.
Yeah.
And muffled, and it was good.
Yeah.
Good.
I'll tell you what I'm going to do, I'm going to attempt to cue up, actually, Siamese Dream music. But tattooing, man, how long have you been doing that?
Coming up to professionally about 14 years now. I've had the equipment for probably 15.
Okay.
But yeah, 14 years working in shops.
Yep.
So yeah.
Wow.
Yeah,
God, man,
it's good. Yeah.
Like, I remember when you left.
Yeah.
And it was just like, well, I mean, it seems like
it doesn't
seem like that long ago.
17 years ago. 17,
Yeah,
18
I know.
years ago.
Like, it's amazing. Like, and even when you first came back, how long have you been back for?
Been back here now almost 7 years.
Okay,
yeah, coming up 7
remember
years.
I saw you in the second-hand shop out there.
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah, it's gone so quick these last 7 years. Yeah, it's crazy.
Like, oh, Ben, like, how's it going? And like, I think a lot of the time when I speak to you, I go to, or I'd sometimes call you Dan, because I've got a cousin, Daniel and Ben, and they're brothers, and I'm just like,
everyone gets us mixed up. Even my mum, grandma, everyone. Like,
well, I probably,
Dan, doesn't matter.
My cousin, Daniel, he's the one I've seen the most. Like, I visited him in the States in 2013, like, and so I guess he's the one's probably in my forefront. But yeah, whenever I think of it's like my daughter's mum, she's got an Auntie Pat and Uncle John, and I've got two Auntie Pats and Uncle Johns that are married to each other.
Classic.
Like, actually, Daniel and Ben's mum and dad is Auntie Pat and Uncle John.
Classic. Classic.
And what about surfing, man? Like, you grew up here? Did you?
Yeah, I grew up in a place called Mullawarra, actually, down in Woolgoolga, until it would have been until I started high school up here.
Okay.
But we were always coming up wasn't that far away, so we were coming up. My grandparents lived here, so got a good connection with this area, and yeah, beautiful place. So
yeah, you're not wrong.
So it was good to get out of Melbourne. That's where I was living last before I came back here, and yeah, just had enough of the big smoke and not enough surfing.
That's where I was before I came here, living in Melbourne. Actually, I lived in Balaclava. You lived in?
Yeah,
did you say else?
I lived in Balaclava for a bit.
You lived in Balaclava?
St Kilda, Balaclava, Mount Waverley. But spent most of the time in Collingwood, Clifton Hill, Collingwood. Yeah.
Okay.
Did 10 years there.
Like when we first moved down there, we stayed in Collingwood, and it was just that was pretty
ghetto.
The only time that was the only time we really stayed there. Once you cross the Yarra and you're on the south side, St Kilda side, you hardly ever go to the other side of the river. Like you go. I used to go into the CBD to work. Yeah. But like you never,
the first
just
few
stopped going to those northern suburbs.
I was the same. We were living on the other side there, on St Kilda side, and go over and watch some bands at the Tote, and there was a few other venues over there, but didn't really hang out over there as such. But yeah, then we ended up moving over there to. There was a really good public Steiner school for our kids at the time, and that's what made us move to the area. And yeah, thank God we did. It was so fun, and it was right when the time was sort of all. They were cleaning up Smith Street a lot, which was good and bad thing, I guess. So you still saw a lot of the junk floating around that, which is I love all that. I love seeing dirty streets and grittiness of cities. It's really cool. Yeah. Yeah, got a shock. Went down there probably a year ago and walked up Smith Street and didn't even recognise it. So gentrified and stuff. It was crazy.
One of the last places. Well, I mean, when I lived in Sydney before I moved to Melbourne for a couple of years, I always lived around the city, and it's just, like one of the last places I lived, probably third or fourth last place I lived was in the Cross, and the Cross is just completely different now to what it was back then. Yeah. It's just.
I think it's a common thing where where all the seedy areas are draws all the artists and the musos because it's affordable rent and whatnot, and then it becomes trendy. Then the prices go up. It just happens.
And all of these people want to move there because of all the artists and the kind of trendy or bohemian people or whatever you want to say.
And
then they price the bohemian people and the trendy people out of the places. Newtown, I think, is a perfect example. Although, I don't know, I think Newtown's having some sort of metamorphosis at the moment because like they've closed down the CBD, so Newtown's like what King's Cross and Oxford Street used to be.
Yeah, for sure.
But, yeah, I don't know, like, I don't like going back there anymore.
Same. I like going for a visit, catching up with a few people, seeing some music, eating some food, that's about it. So.
The food's a big one that I miss. I don't know. Yeah. I also try and get myself away overseas so I can get food overseas.
Yeah, for sure. Sure.
Yeah, now, like...
Love a good gnaw.
Ben's somebody who the last few times I've seen him, I think you said, what are you listening to at the moment? And I've sort of said bands that I thought, you're not going to know them. And you do. Like, my latest trip, Amel and the Sniffers, I saw you the other day. I'm like, oh, man, I'm into this band. I reckon you'll like them. And I've heard them. I'm just like... Wow, classic. And then it was Sleaford Mods last year.
A couple of years ago, they were really good. And I think that's one bit about tattooing. You just listen to so much music. It's constantly going in the background all the time, all different genres. So you get to listen to a lot of music. It's good.
You've seen Sleaford Mods?
Seen them. Travelled to my partner, Joe. We had a wedding on in Spain a couple of years ago, and so we thought, right, we've got to watch these guys, and we found where they were playing, and they were playing at a big festival in Belgium, Pukkelpop. So we went there and checked them out, and it was epic. A really, really good band.
So you saw them at a festival?
Yeah,
was
at
it
a festival.
One-day festival?
I think it was like 4 days or something, from what I can remember.
Did you go?
They were. I was hoping they weren't playing on the main stage or anything. There was numerous big stages there, but they played in like the smallest sort of venue there in a little marquee, and it was cosy. It was good. It was it was really good to see him live. So just hope they come to Australia.
Yeah. Oh God. I've got a friend who tours bands, or he works for a guy that tours bands, and I'm hassling him, and I'm hassling Feel Presents there on Instagram, saying, when are you going to bring Sleafords out?
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, somebody's already got them, but yeah, I don't know. It's a bummer.
Yeah, they're good live, real good live.
Were they?
Yeah.
And I mean, like, you're talking about a band that's good live, where it's a dude standing behind a computer with a beer, and a vape, and another dude rapping. But he goes off, doesn't he?
Guy on vocals, he just owns the stage. He just turns into an animal.
Jason Stevens? Jason Stevens?
Yeah, pretty sure that's his name.
He
just turns into a machine up there and just rants, and it's just good lyrics.
And he has the full involuntary hand movements happening. Like, 'cause he's like...
Yeah, he's an angry man. Slapping the back of his head and sweat's going everywhere. Yeah, it's epic. He's just so into it.
They got kicked out of the Labor Party.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, because they... I don't know, it was in the last couple of years, they were like paid up members of and like loud proponents of the Labor Party, and then they said something too full on Twitter. Yeah. And like Labor said, like, we can't.
Gotta leave.
Yeah, we can't have you as a member, like, because you're being abusive or whatever it was. But I wish I could find them. Hang on, I'm struggling. What's the album that I've got?
I got a fair few albums.
The trouble is with this digital business is you get so many that it's actually hard to find them. And of course, like, when you get all your albums and they're all in different, like, some are named artist first.
Yeah.
And some are named like, some are named like, what's going on? My computer doesn't want to find my Sleaford Mods albums.
Don't ask me to have a go, mate.
I'm flicking through the box of records as we speak. I'm flicking through. Actually, I know what I'm going to do. Instead of playing Sleaford Mods, I'm going to play what me and Ben have both gotten into lately, and that is Amyl and the Sniffers. AM.
Their friends said they went up and saw them in Byron it would have been a month or so ago, and said they were really good.
They're playing at the Lansdowne Hotel tonight, which is like, I used to go and see.
They're from Melbourne, yeah?
Yeah. They've actually got a song called Balaclava Boogie or something like that. No, Balaclava Lover or something like that. Yeah. Look, we'll start with I'm Not a Loser, and we might play Balaclava Lover later, and then we'll try and I'll try and find a Sleaford Mods track, and let's just see what happens. All right, this is Stu with Ben. Back in the day on TLC. Yeah. Good old Sleaford Mods. Yes, I do like them.
Yeah, they tickle a certain bit.
I first heard it referred to by Miff Warhurst as British hip hop. I don't know if it is or not, but and then I've got another old friend who's right into the band The Fall, who are like a late sort of 70s English post-punk band kind of thing, and he reckons they sound like The Fall, and I can kind of see where he's coming from, but oh wow, the sun has just come out from behind the clouds, and it's casting a nice like orange glow through the studio. It's been the first
another epic sunset.
Yeah, it's been the first time for a few weeks that I haven't had the sun beaming in like from the time that I get here, making it really hard to see like the computer screen. But yeah, now I'm back to it. It's hard to see on the computer screen. Yeah, so we started there up the top with Amyl and the Sniffers, and I also read that they're about to go to England and Europe and do a tour. I'd really like to check them out one time. And yeah, I don't know. I seen on the internet I'm going to play a bit later. And don't let me forget Kimbra with Snoop Dogg. Kimbra's the chick that was in, or the lady, the person who was in Somebody That I Used to Know. That track with Gautier.
Oh,
Yeah.
Gautier.
Yeah.
Yeah, so...
She's done a track and Snoop Dogg's on it.
Gautier, yeah, right.
Yeah.
Classic.
Yeah.
I think he bought our house that my ex-partner and I sold in Melbourne. Gautier.
Wow.
Yeah.
What's his name?
In Clifton Hill.
Wally DeBacker.
Yeah, apparently. The real estate was saying, yeah, after it went to auction, and that was about 8-9 years. Oh, yeah, about 6 years ago.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, classic.
So, it's a small world. So, okay, let's get back to tattooing. So, were you tattooing before you left here?
No, I did my first tattoo with a homemade machine when I was probably 14.
Okay. On yourself or on...
No, I just got roped. I was sort of the go-to guy for any artwork spray, getting your boards sprayed up, your surfboard sprayed up, or chalkboards done around town, anything like that. And I got asked if I wanted to do a tattoo, and that was what I wanted to do. I knew that's what I wanted to do when I was probably 12, 13.
What, you got asked if you wanted to design a tattoo? Or
no,
like,
just
here, mate, here's a tattoo gun. Do you want to have a go?
The boys were over at
Wow.
so-and-so's house. It was like a friend of a friend's, and like, oh, yeah, right, so went round there. I didn't know the first thing about, I didn't know anything about it. And then, the machine was made up from like a electric toothbrush, so
Okay,
little homemade sort of jail type machine,
like with the guitar string type thing that would.
Yeah, I can't remember what we used for the needle, or I can just remember I was crapping myself basically. I was so nervous, and anyway, we started, and I can't remember what it was, but there was this crazy storm. It was in the summertime. We had this storm come over, and it was just lightning and hail, and I love a good storm. And the power went out, and so I got sort of saved by the power.
Okay, it's better than going out in the middle.
I think it was like half finished. I can't remember who it was on. It was a bit of a blur, but that was the first sort of tattoo I did. And then I can remember going into the shop in South Grafton and asking how I'd go about getting into the industry, and that didn't go down too well. So just it was like an impossible sort of job to actually get into at the time.
The whole nature of tattooing has changed over the last
completely.
Say, 15, 20 years. Hey?
Yeah, especially the last.
It's not owned by the bikers anymore, like it used to be.
Yeah, no, but I guess there's a little bit of that element still, but you can buy the equipment online. You don't have to be working in a shop. It's you can buy it anywhere. You can open up a tattoo shop without any qualifications or anything. You just have to pass the non-bikey associated test, and you can go through all the crap they put you through. That's in New South Wales anyway. All the laws, you got to have a license to actually be tattooing.
Yeah,
but,
it'd probably be the same in Queensland too, I'd say.
Yeah, I think Queensland's the same. Vico's exempt. I think South Australia have some licensing set up, but it's not too bad. It's pretty straightforward. But the New South Wales one's crazy. They're, guilty by association, pretty much. You've got to cough up fingerprints. They were wanting DNA when they first try to pass the legislation of having a tattoo license, and then so mug shots, fingerprints. It's bullshit.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
But I mean, like, I don't know, the way the coppers have really clamped down on the bikers over the last few years. It's, I don't know, like, we're a bloody penal colony, man. Our country.
Yeah.
Like
And whenever you crack down on
I've never
something, you're
met
just
a
pushing it
biker
away
who hasn't been a nice person. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, they're all... Any biker that I've met seems to be pretty nice. I don't know, like... I guess on a lot of levels, perhaps it's... For the authorities, it's kind of low-hanging fruit for them to concentrate on that gives them good publicity, that gives the government good publicity.
Yeah, I guess with the like when there was lots of shootings going on and shops getting bombed and bikie this, bikie that, I think it just looks like the government's doing something about a problem, which they're not. It just pushes it underground.
Yeah.
It goes somewhere else. It's not going away.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
I think it's. I don't think it's working at all. Like we haven't been asked once to show our licences, and we pay a lot of money each year to have them. And no one even comes around and checks them.
At the front door when the police pull up, it's like, can you come over here? Just
like I wish we got something out of it. It's some education on hygiene and something out of it for your money each year, because we get nothing. We don't even come and get asked to show our licences. It's just another cock up from the government, pretty much. But yeah, getting back to
where did you do your first? Where did you do your first tattoo in a shop?
I did my apprenticeship in Seaford under a lady called Jenny Roach, who was she'd been tattooing almost 20 years when I started with her, and it was a great shop to learn in. It was Seaford, so just the next stop up from Frankston.
Okay,
it was a really busy street shop.
Yep.
Pretty classic clientele down there. It was all sorts of people. I got to start there, and I was there. I did my 3-year apprenticeship there, and forever grateful for Jenny for putting me on. It was a really good opportunity.
So did you start like tattooing like chunks of pig?
No, I just started straight on skin. Actually, that's a lie. When I bought the equipment through Jenny, she told me just to start tattooing whatever I could: plastic, leather,
wow,
pig skin, anything. So I didn't really go and buy. I didn't try the pig skin and stuff. I just perhaps some milk bottles, anything sort of plastic.
I think you meant like those little lollies. Good for your detail.
and then from that, I ended up starting to tattoo leather, kangaroo leather, which worked really well. And then another another thing come up from that was a good friend of mine I went to school with here at Maclean. She ran a pretty successful sort of couture clothing company, fashion label in Melbourne. Her name was Chantal Kirby. She grew up here. She's an amazing artist as well, and so she saw me. She was living in Melbourne at the same time, studying, and she saw what I was doing on the plastic and leather and asked if I wanted to collaborate with her on some sort of one-off handmade leather pieces.
Okay.
And that was right when I was starting to tattoo in the shop when I was apprenticing. I was just eat, breathe, tattoo, just everything tattoo, come home, tattoo, go back, tattoo the next day.
Yeah.
Plus raising kids and all and juggling and everything. It was a fun time. But and that actually took off, the tattooing and the leather took off big time. Actually, the National Gallery in Melbourne, they bought a collection from Chantal.
Wow.
So it's pretty cool having my name to a few pieces in the NGV
absolutely.
down there, and
they're still there.
Yeah, they were on show. My eldest, who lives in Melbourne still, he was going to see a show at the NGV and noticed that there was this fashion thing on, was walking around and saw the jacket that I'd tattooed and sent me a photo of it. It was pretty cool. So when they acquired it, I think they just acquire a lot of things and it just gets stored, until they sort of get to use it. And then, and we did some, I can remember we did a pair of tattooed shoes. So I was tattooing the leather. And this took so much time working out what leathers worked, because you got kangaroo, cow. Geez, we tried so many different leathers. Pig. There was a crazy leather store, Left Leather in Melbourne, which you could, like, they've been running this shop for 100 and something years, just selling all bits and pieces.
There's a lot of shops like that in Melbourne.
So cool, this shop.
There's like, I remember when I lived there on Chapel Street, there was like a I don't know if it was exclusively like 1950s, 60s refrigerators.
I know the one you're talking about.
But like, they just had all these refrigerators, and they were done up so nicely and totally decked out, and like, you go in and they'd all smell. And like, I saw the guy spraying this eucalyptus stuff like through them every day, and
I know
like
shop.
They have them all painted up in football team colours and stuff like that. And then there's the Chapel Street Bazaar. Like,
that was cool shops.
Like you sort of go into this sort of large area with a whole bunch of small sort of really quirky, antique pop culture.
Yeah, well, this leather shop at you could tell things hadn't been moved for 50 years. There was that much dust on stuff. But anyway, they gave me so many samples of all this leather and different conditioners for them, because as you're tattooing, ink spraying everywhere, and if a drop of ink gets on the leather, it stains it. So I had to work out how to stop that from happening, and so finally got it happening where I knew which leather to use and how to work it. You've got so many different needle groupings and different inks and stuff as well. So we finally worked it all out, and I was tattooing a lot of shoes. So I'd get the template of the shoes drawn up on a kangaroo hide. I'd tattoo that. We'd give it to the cobbler who. I forget the name of the cobbler. They were on Smith Street as well, and there was an old cobbler shop that'd been there for ages. Yeah, and they turned the pattern into the shoe, and I can remember seeing the first set of shoes that I'd tattooed, and it was turned into a nice pair of, like, winkle picker type shoes. A pair of shoes that'll last you forever. You can get the soles redone, the leather's going to stay good forever. And they just looked amazing. I was like, wow, they look cool. And we ended up getting so many orders for those. And, and we did a pair of shoes and a jacket for Björk. Wow. She ordered a pair. Chantal went up to the Opera House to watch them play and stuff, and she was wearing the shoes. And wow. Yeah, it was fucking awesome, mate. I wish I got a pair of shoes out of all that.
I supplied the bib and brace overalls for the Foo Fighters in the Big Me clip.
Oh, yeah, cool. Sick.
That's my claim to fame.
Awesome.
Oh, that's okay. So,
it was right when I started tattooing in a shop. I was tattooing these leather shoes and garments as well, tattooing plastic, run around doing a bit of graffiti as well. That was really fun at the time. Until I got a good clientele base, and I was just flat out tattooing skin, and then I just pushed everything to the side. I didn't make any money out of the leather stuff. It was a love thing, and
so when you say graffiti, like spray painting or paste ups, as they call them, or stickers,
a bit of everything.
Okay,
it was good fun. The paste ups were really cool. It was so fun.
I see like this gigantic concrete coloured water tower just outside our building here, like every week, and it's just like, I see it more than every week. We all see it more than every week, and it's just like, God.
I noticed a little bit on there a little while ago, and I like it. Like I remember when I was getting into it, and I was always coming back home here every year for a month at least over Christmas for holidays, and I'd look around the town and go, nah, like, you can't graffiti around here. It doesn't suit it, but. Oh, people are going to be off me for this, but now, like, it's changed. The town has changed so much. It's crazy how much it's changed.
There's the big graffiti down there, and then there's the There used to be Did you see the Sweeney Todd one that was near the barbers down there? That's been painted over. And then there was another one around there's
little bits and pieces around, and I graffiti's been around for a bloody long time, like longer than books, you know. And
people leave the stuff alone that looks good.
Actually, I was lucky enough a few months ago when I was in South Australia in the desert, and we went into this cave, and there was some original graffiti from 20, 30,000 years old. It was that was the best thing I've ever seen.
Wow,
as far as graffiti, you know. I think it's exactly the same as what people do with spray cans now. It's just different mediums and stuff. I like to see little bits and pieces pop up around the town. You know, you can see it's some young kid who's sort of looking into it and going, I'll try me thing and do a little tag at the skate park or something. It's so cool.
When Lou Reed passed away, somebody put like a did you see that Lou Reed that went up onto the skate park?
Saw that. That was
good. That
was awesome.
That was good. And then they paint over, and it's just like God.
Yeah.
God, it's a skate park.
Yeah. Look, I don't think the town needs to be covered in it, but little bits here and there. It's great. I think, you know, some people really get a lot out of it. They read it, and then you wonder, I wonder who did that. Like, wonder what they do for a job, and all, you know, or if
there's places in Melbourne where people go out of their way to see it. Like laneways,
for sure.
Where it's
No, 15 years ago in Melbourne, the graffiti was phenomenal.
Yeah,
and then it got sort of commercialised.
Yeah,
and then it was funny there for a while. The Melbourne City Council were so against graffiti, yet they were advertising for tourists to come to check it out.
Yeah.
So you know,
it's another contradiction in society.
Yeah.
Like, what do you want us to do?
Yeah, but no, it was. I never joined a crew down there or anything. I just needed some adrenaline fix and loved running around at night doing bits and pieces. It was good fun. But it was expensive. Like I wasn't racking my cans or anything. I was paying for them.
Yeah. Okay.
So it was an expensive little hobby. And then tattooing just took over, so I just barred out on that. But I love a bit of graffiti. It's good. It's cool.
Oh, far out. Oops. Hey, I'm going to play a track.
I don't do it anymore, obviously.
But... Oh, no. None of us ever do anything illegal anymore, nor do we associate with people who do anything that would ever be illegal in any capacity ever.
I think, like, what's worse than, say, if I drove into town tomorrow and saw a bit of graffiti on a wall is I drove into town yesterday and the Coldstream Street there just looks atrocious with all the trees gone.
Yeah.
I read it in the paper a week or two ago that they were going to do that and slowly take away the trees and put new ones in, but they've just decimated one side of the street to reveal the architecture of Yamba, which is hideous, I think. At least the trees were blocking that slightly.
Yeah. It's like when you see photos of Sydney in the 1930s. And, like, there's not a single tree, not even in Hyde Park there's trees.
Yeah.
And now, like, you see photos of the street scenes in Sydney, and, like, every street has got, like, a big row of well-established trees down it, like, every single street.
Yeah.
Even in the middle of the city.
Yeah, I just hope they get the next lot of trees right. Yeah. And they're not cutting them down again in 20 years, because I can remember they removed the Norfolk pines that were in the main street. They were amazing. They looked so cool. Okay. And they took those down and then did a street beautification. Like, that was when I was living here last, maybe 15 years ago, or whatever. And that's when they planted all these trees. They're taken down now.
Hang on, maybe was I?
You were around.
Was I still?
That was when we were living in the Purple House.
Pines in the main street.
Geez, maybe a few years before that or something. Yeah, there used to be two right near the pharmacy there. I don't know what the thought was behind taking them down, because they were amazing, but whoever's in charge of sourcing the right trees for the next 50 years, 100 years, get it right. I didn't know what was wrong with the last ones, to be honest, but apparently they weren't any good.
Were you here when we had the big storm and the Norfolk Island pine fell down the main beach?
No.
I've got the top of it, like the very, very top.
Yeah, right.
Like,
Cool.
I bought it up here. It was up here at the station for a while, but yeah, it's back in a box in my house. Like now I'm perpetually bloody well moving house.
Classic.
Oh, it's doing my head in. Hey, I said on Instagram, I was saying to Ben, I've got to play all the songs that I said I was going to play on Instagram. Like that's the number one rule. That's the only rule that I have. So I mentioned that I was going to. I shared a thing that from DJ Ms. Honey Dijon, reminding me of this sort of early 90s techno band called Underground Resistance, and like it's such a great name, and they've got T-shirts that have just got "You Are" on them. I was even looking on eBay. I was like, yeah, God, now I've been reminded of Underground Resistance. So yeah, I said I was going to play an Underground Resistance track, so might hook into that. It's 10 minutes and 56 seconds. I'm sure that you can cope. Right, it's Stu and Ben, back in the day.
Dig it! Can you dig it? Can you dig it?
We're back.
You.
Yes, I did play my sponsors, didn't I? Okay, Ben's just setting up his microphone like Lemmy.
I wish.
Yeah,
We're looking for a good singer at the moment.
I'm doing the Lemmy as well. So, Ben, what did I say I was going to ask you about? Yeah, the ocean. You enjoy surf?
Yeah, that's what's brought me back here.
Okay.
For sure.
Did you surf when you were in Melbourne? In Victoria?
Yeah. Tried to. The first 2 years I was down there, surfed a lot.
Okay.
And then just got too busy with work and took an hour to get out of the congestion of the city to even go.
Yeah.
So just try and take a month off each year and come back here and surf. And
Okay.
but yeah, that was the main reason I wanted to get back
Yeah.
up here and keep fit and keep surfing.
Okay.
So,
a couple of months ago, it was now. I was talking to Rasta. He came in when they had the film outside on the on the tank, and
the Patagonia film. That I wasn't here for that, but I heard it was really good.
Yeah, no, it was. It was really good. I felt a bit weird. Like I ended up. Oh no, I mean we spoke for a while. We spoke a bit about Greeno, like which was really interesting because he's pretty good friends. He's next door neighbours with him apparently.
Right.
Yeah, that's
I've met Dave a few times, but I don't know him really well. But my brother knows him pretty well.
Yeah, right.
And he's told me about his place up there. Sounds epic.
Yeah. What is Broken Head?
Broken Head. Yeah.
I mentioned him about shark, like this whole business with sharks. That's sort of become fairly fashionable to be scared of over the last 3 or 4 years, I guess. Like since there's sort of been I don't know, has there been a spate of attacks on the North Coast over the last 3 or 4 years? Like,
look, there has for sure. You know, it's something's changed. There's definitely something going on, but I put it down to there's also a lot more people in the water. So there's no one in the water, no one's going to get attacked. Obviously, if there's a lot of people in the water, the chances are going to be higher, I guess. That's my theory. But
the thing that stands out to me is like there's the apex predator is protected, but so little of what's underneath it as its prey is protected as well. So it's kind of
for sure
like from the beginning. Like we're going to, there's a good chance they're going to be a bit hungrier, and perhaps a bit more desperate than what they have been in the past,
and just maybe looking in different areas for food. That's what I think. I've spent all my life in the ocean, and up until it would have been about 15 years ago. My stepdad, Dave Trelaw, Batty. People that frequent the ocean would know that guy.
I want to talk to Batty actually about. He was telling me one time.
If you got him in here, you wouldn't get a word in. It'd be great.
I want to talk to him about when he first heard when he was first listening to when he first listened to Sergeant Pepper's. Tell me a short story one night out at the point and like at a party.
Oh, he loves a good story. But I can remember him coming home from fishing one afternoon or one mid-morning, and he was white, and he was burling up at the back of his boat. He was like fishing a couple of K out in like a 14-foot tinny with foot and a high, 1.5 foot high gunnels, and he said that this great whites came up in his burley trail. It's the first white he's ever seen, and
Wow.
he's spent a lot of time in the ocean out there. Since then, he's seen numerous ones, especially in the last sort of half a dozen years. But
they're definitely around at whale migration time.
Oh, for sure, and whales are protected as well.
Yeah.
It'd be good to protect everything, but there's definitely something going on. We never even heard of great whites growing up here. That was a cold water predator.
Yeah.
We were more worried about bull sharks, tiger sharks, and to be honest, growing up here, I didn't except for paddling across the river to surf the other side when we were younger, which we do quite often. That was the only time we were worried about sharks. But now it's I don't know, something's going on. Whether they're looking in different places for food, because like you mentioned earlier, everything underneath them is just getting decimated. But there's definitely something going on.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Okay.
But,
I also mentioned maybe that they could be kind of going a bit insane because, like, there's more mercury in the water than what there ever has been. Because
even imagine all the noise underwater now. Like the whole ocean's just getting flogged. I reckon. And so they might be going. You know what? Let's just. Oh, who knows what they're doing? But I don't worry about them too much. I'd rather get eaten by a shark than die in a car crash or something. I
just ride my mal a lot. Like every time you see a shark attack, you never see anybody who gets attacked on a mal.
On a Malibu, right? I love me mal too.
Yeah.
You're a bit out of the water on a Malibu, but it's I don't know. There's, you listen to the radio and you have these people coming on that do a lot of research and stuff, but to be honest, I don't think anyone knows anything much about what's going on there. And they're tagging sharks and doing all this supposedly research, which I'm sure it is research, but it's no one knows what's going to happen there. Whether they might just disappear next year, who knows?
Yes, yeah. I sometimes I get surprised at some people who are like, we need to be culling them, and like people that I wouldn't expect in en masse in like Facebook surfing groups and stuff like that. Like I thought sort of surfing, like for me, taking up surfing made me perhaps more conscious of the environment and
for sure.
Like, and just more conscious of sort of the importance of the balance of the environment. And like, sometimes I'm just blown away at lifelong surfers that are just like, no, we should be killing them.
Well, I guess they're
maybe
saying,
we should. Like, maybe we should. We're killing out all their food, so maybe we need to.
Yeah, well, I guess they're seeing a dramatic change as well. These people that are saying these things are, they've been in the ocean all their lives as well,
not thinking about it.
And then it's all changing. I guess that could be a solution. Like I'm sure, if someone got taken, no one's ever been taken around here. There's been incidents, but no one's been taken. But if that started happening regularly, like it did up in the Byron region a few years ago,
Ballina,
I wouldn't feel too bad if they knocked one. I mean, people are probably going to hate me for saying that, but
look, I think
it's not like go out and kill all the sharks. But if there's one that's a known danger, well, I don't know. It's such a touchy subject. I don't really want to kill anything, but
no. Look, me neither. But I just sort of. I think perhaps, maybe for some period of time throughout the year, 3 months of the year, similar to duck season or something like that. And I know heaps of people are like, no, you can't shoot the ducks, blah, blah, blah. And they get Peter out there stopping people from shooting the ducks. But yeah, I don't know. We might have created this situation where we've sort of, as I was saying, protected the apex predator, but haven't really spent a lot of time protecting its prey.
Oh, exactly. Its prey
so,
just gets
I don't know,
flogged to
maybe-
pieces, even by the protection of the shark. Like the drum lines and the nets and
the
stuff.
nets,
They're not working.
Yeah. No.
Everyone knows they're not working. They're
Yeah.
catching way more byproduct than
what they're
than
set
the
out to-
sharks.
yeah.
Like it. I guess it gives everyone a false sense of security when they're surfing if there's nets around. But to me, if you're surfing somewhere where there's nets, that means there's a shitload of sharks, or there has been. You know,
Yeah.
so I wouldn't feel much safer.
Look,
I think
I don't know.
it's just a part of it. It's a part of the sport. I think we're really lucky to have a sport where you could get taken out by a predator. There's not too many sports like that these days left.
Yeah, you're right.
You know, and
not
we probably
pack your
won't be
parachute.
allowed to surf in another few years because of all the red tape and bureaucracy. You know,
No. Well, I mean, they've got to stop parachuting before they stop surfing, I reckon.
you'll need a license to go surfing soon.
Well, I mean,
you know.
like, surfboards had to be licensed in the 60s and the late 50s.
But yeah, look, the sharks, I hope they don't go away. I just hope they don't
Attack
bite
me.
too many people.
Yeah.
But the more people that are going to enter the water, the higher the risk.
Yep.
I
I don't eat flake, and then flake don't eat me. That's
agree
that's
with
my
that
that's
the
my
other
personal
day.
policy. Like,
I don't mind a bit of flake. But yeah, like I said, if it was, I'd rather go that way than heaps of other ways that I can think about. You know.
oh, I mean, like when you're sitting out the back and you're sort of bobbing around on your board, and a dolphin comes up next to you, and it's just like,
Oh, the adrenaline that
how
hits
can I
you.
not, like,
It's
how can I not be anything other than a greenie? Like when
Yeah.
it's like, you know, a lot of profound things happen in your life, but when you're a surfer, when that dolphin comes up next to you, and you know that's what would suck about having nets. Is like with those nets, you're either gonna be netting those dolphins within those nets or outside of those nets, so you're not going to have them with you around you anymore, or they're going to get tangled up in the nets.
yeah.
But I remember talking to Shane, who produces the surfboard in the 60s, and he still produces surfboards now, Shane Stedman. And he'd just come down from Byron, and he was talking about surfing the pass and seeing like a pot of dolphins, and one of them stuck his head up to the side, and he's cocked his eye at me, and like I could see him, and it's like this dude's like in his 70s, might even be
Trying to
up
tell
like
him
towards 80, and it's like it was as though it's the first time he'd ever seen a dolphin surfing. It like that buzz the first time you see it, it comes back like every single time you see it. It's one of the few things that doesn't have that law of diminishing returns. It's like every time you see him, it's like wow.
Yeah,
It's just awesome.
Anything
like,
in the oceans.
Or the turtles.
Wow, like-
Turtles are a bit more of a fright when they come up because they make that noise when they blow the air out of their nose. It's like, oh my God.
I had a pilot whale. I was surfing. This would have been a couple of years ago, and a pilot whale launched out in a wave beside us. We're surfing north of the river here,
Wow.
and that was wild. I'd never seen anything like it. It was like a dolphin, like in the same spot as you'd see a dolphin jump.
Yep.
Sort of, you know, a couple of 100 meters off the shore, and it was a pilot whale doing it. I was like, oh, is something following that, or?
Yeah, right.
But it was
so how
just-
big would it have been like?
Oh, the thing was the size of a, you know, as long as the station here was
Okay.
good,
So
10 metres long, 15 metres long. It was huge.
that would have produced its own wave in
Oh,
itself.
for
like,
sure. Like it was mass, and it not once, like 2 or 3 times. And I was surfing with a couple other people, and we were all like, "Wow, we'd never seen anything like that."
Yeah,
It was a
right.
pretty special moment.
travelling
Any
down-
creature you see in the ocean, it's just awesome. You know.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's like everyone's like, oh, you should, buddy.
Yeah, the shark thing. It's going to get more interesting than go away. Like I think not everyone, but like I think a lot of the there'd be certain. I guess the government hates having to come up with solutions to try and work out a problem that is impossible to work out.
I mean, it didn't help.
You know,
like, it didn't help what happened to Mick Fanning in
Oh,
South
no.
Africa. Like, just like, oh, like,
just fuels it all. I sort of get off on it. It's good.
Up to a certain point, it was like, wow, it's actually kind of like when you think about how many surfing competitions that there have been over the years. It's a bit of a surprise it didn't happen until then. Like, it took that long for that to happen. Like,
well, I think as you're saying that, like, it's 10, 20 years ago, was the last thing you'd hear of.
Yeah.
And now it's not just common on the East Coast here. It's happening in South Africa. It's happening in California. It's the same. Been reading things about this around the world, and it's similar everywhere. So
there's some
Reunion Island.
Reunion Island.
Not even allowed to surf there anymore.
Yeah, that's like where there's the most shark attacks. Something along those lines. But yeah, wow.
So there's something's going on there. Anyway, I love tattooing sharks. If you want to get a shark tattoo, come down.
Do you do many, like, at one point I was thinking, I might get like a rooster on my foot, because like that's a traditional sailor's tattoo. From the rooster's crates, like they would be the thing that would float if the boat went down. So like, do you get many people that sort of have that real back knowledge, like come in and they've obviously read up about not just what they want to get, but tattooing in general? Like,
oh, not so much these days.
Okay.
No, most of the time now it's people sitting on the couch at home just wanting a quote. It's going, how much for this, how much for that.
Yeah, right.
It's tattooing. It's lost a lot of its. I don't know the word. I'm a bit hopeless on that word there, but
soul.
Maybe not soul. I don't know, but yeah, like the meaning of things. It doesn't.
Yeah. Okay. Like,
matter
once upon
so
a time,
much these days, you know. Like,
yeah. Like you go up to the Gold Coast, and I swear there's more people with tattoos than what there are that don't have tattoos.
Oh yeah, and on their faces, on their necks, on their hands. It's crazy. Like people, we have people coming in wanting hand tattoos, and they've got no other tattoos. It's 20 years ago, 10 years ago, we'd just go, nah, no way. Like, you've got to earn that.
Yeah,
You've got to earn that placement of that tattoo.
Yeah, right. That can't be your first tattoo. It was like hate on your knuckles or something.
Yeah, and
it's like, if you want that, you do it yourself. That's my attitude.
Yeah,
like,
or you earn it, get covered in them.
Yeah,
and then come in and get that as well. But
no, someone close to me who wanted to get their first tattoo, and oh wow, got a phone call.
Ooh.
They're just going to have to wait. I'll get my my secretary Phil to answer that out in the second studio. But somebody who I know wanted to get their first tattoo on. What do you want to get? And she's like, "Oh, love heart on my a little love heart on my finger." I'm like, if you're getting your first tattoo and you're going to a tattooist, get something that's good. Like, if you're going to get a love heart on your tattoo, love heart on your finger, get the bloody ink and a pen and do it yourself. Like, like for your first tattoo, like, no way. But yeah, I don't know. Ben did my tattoo of my seahorse, and like, I've been told by numerous people it's the best tattoo they've ever seen.
Oh, that's nice to hear.
Yeah.
I'd like to hearing that.
My
I
mum
like hearing, I hate that tattoo I got off you. But, it's changed so much, even with, it's quite acceptable for for kids at school to have them.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, my eldest was doing year 10 at Maclean there, and he had friends that had tattoos, and like
this person that I know.
Me growing up at high school, no one had them, or one guy had a hand poked tattoo or something.
I had like a tiny little Indian dot under where my watch went that I did in art.
So I think it's lost all that respect.
Yeah, right.
For the art, it's more this. I just want to buy it. I just want to acquire it. I want it because I'm seeing it everywhere.
Yeah, yeah.
It's that instant.
That's
gratification.
It's everything.
That's how the world's going.
That's
maybe
life
that's
now.
how the sharks are feeling. They're going, fuck
They're
you,
just a part of
surfers.
it.
We're going to eat you.
Yeah.
Now we're not going to just cruise past. We're going to start eating you.
Yeah. No rules. Now that you have these stand-up things that you have a long paddle on, that's it. We're going to start taking you out.
Yeah.
But no, it's been great having you, man. It's
been awesome.
Yeah, it's coming round to like I got 15 minutes left until
Better play some music.
Yeah, yeah. God, there hasn't been much music. Do I have? I don't even have anything lined up. Oh, and yes, I do. I do.
Yeah, we're going to play the Doors. aren't
Yeah, I heard this on Sam I Am on Wednesday night. Maggie McGill, The Doors, are from the Morrison Hotel album.
we? Awesome.
You're with Stu, having a back in the day with Ben. Thanks again, Ben.
Thank you, Stu.